How's the audio? Let me know how it sounds. Hello, Ryan, James, Grubber. Hi. Good evening, Ryan. Good evening. Hey, I know it's the evening for you guys in the States right now. It's 12 o'clock at night in the UK. Hey, hello. I'll be there. You'll be there? Cool. Florida, you got it. You figured it out. Can't wait. So, oh man, a lot of you are you coming? Yeah, when I'm in Chicago. Okay, so basically, I'm gonna be in Florida taking ayahuasca at a ayahuasca retreat called Soul Quest, and if you guys would like to come with me, you can. Um, I say come with me. It's like as if you're gonna come on the plane with me. Who knows? I might see you on the plane. That happened before with Costa Rica when I was taking ayahuasca arrhythmia. I ended up being on the plane with some people. But basically, if you guys want to come, you can. I've already put the links in the description below. I'm going to say this a few times for people just coming in. I'm going to be there from the dates of, this is Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be there from the dates of 20, let me just check because it's not often I get it right. Okay, I'm going to be there from the 28th to the 30th of June, and then from the 5th to the 7th of July. Okay, I'll say that again. From the 28th to the 30th of this month, they're going to have their own ceremony there at Soul Quest. And then I'm going to be there again for another ceremony from the 5th to the 7th of July. Okay, and that's in Orlando, Florida. I've also put a link to their website below. It's actually there now. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. I've sent this kind of notice out to some thousands of people. So I think it's going to fill up pretty well. And so let's get into the chat. Let's look at the chat, and I'm going to reiterate myself at some point throughout this live stream. Hell yes, says Tia. Awesome. Hey man, how are you? I'm good. I'm a lizard. You're a lizard? That's cool. Hey man, can't wait. Have you ever been there before? Orlando? I don't think Orlando. Last time I was there, I went to Tampa, the Siesta Key. And I was there. I've been in Florida so far, I think a maximum of 3 months. Because when I was there, I used to go there for a long period of time. Meet and greet? Maybe. One person is just showing up just to say hi and going. That would be cool. June the 29th. Says Button Frog. I'm actually going to arrive there on the 27th, like a day early. It's generally how these things go. And then everyone else will come in on the 28th. You know, I'm assuming everyone else. It wouldn't surprise me if some people come a day early as well, because that's often how these things go every now and then. Come to New York City. I probably will at some point, you know. I'm the type of guy who needs reasons to go to places. A long time ago, I was going to live in New York City. This was when I was in the fire service. And I had this whole plan set out for my life. I'm standing there in front of the chief. And she's saying to me, I'm 18 at the time, and she's saying to me, Ryan, if you want, we can get you in, you know, and you can be here full time. I'm looking at her and I'm thinking to myself, this was too easy. You know, this whole journey was way too easy, from school, college, to where I want to be right now at that point of time in my life. Too easy. Then I thought, how can I make it more complicated? Well, I always wanted to live in the States, so why not just live in New York and eat a bunch of food? You know, at that time I wasn't vegan, but that seemed too easy for me too. It's just a plane ticket away and some learning, you know, learn how to move to another country. Then I decided just to burn everything down, so to speak. My mom really wasn't like, that's been spending the majority of my life trying to get to a specific point, a specific career to be had. And I got there and I decided to walk away from it. And so people were like, what? And I thought I just needed something harder, something a little bit more difficult, something that's more in tune with what I do. And then this came about. Spiritual life coaching and astral projection and all the cool things that come with being unique. My spider's always afraid of me. Come here. Come on. Yeah, man. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah. Nope. There you go. It's gonna run away. Cool. What else? Let's keep going. Happy birthday. Oh, belated birthday. It was my birthday in May. May the 17th. I'm a Taurus. Flapjacks. Cool. What do you think about Fei Long Gong? I don't know what that is. Can you do a brief description of alchemy? All right. Alchemy is the transmutation of a lead-based substance, some gray area here, to a gold-based substance. Okay. What that is, a lot of different alchemists have speculated. Some say it's turning the body from lead to gold, death to life, and thus achieving eternal youth. Others think it's a material substance, which, if you look at the body like a material substance, then both would be correct in that sense of the word, alchemy or transmutation. But ultimately, one thing that everyone can agree on is that it's the transmutation of one form to another, end goal being eternal life. I think I figured it out. I think I figured it out. I'll let you know in 100 years. Kali, Kalima. Kali? I just realized I used to have weird outbursts every now and then to deal with my uncomfortability, like uncomfortability outbursts when I was feeling uncomfortable in a situation. I have a family of brothers and sisters, we all do it. But I just realized that just then I felt the urge to do it again, but then I kind of fell back on what I've been doing recently, which is to dissolve uncomfortability within these situations, to allow myself just to be comfortable, thus eliminating the need to have these very accentuated outbursts, which centered around Looney Tunes. I was very influenced by Looney Tunes and Jim Carrey. So I was kind of loony growing up. It's just the way I dealt with being or feeling awkward growing up. But yeah, man, it's funny how situations like this can kind of have you backslide a little bit. But I caught myself. I'm aware. Third eye's open. Wait, was that me just having an outburst? Was that an outburst? Was that an outburst? I'm thinking too much. Okay, now this is an outburst. Let's keep going. What we got? Where is it again? Got here late. Okay, it's going to be in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be there taking ayahuasca between the 28th to the 30th of June, and then the 5th to the 7th of July. And it's going to be at Soul Quest. I've got a link in the description below this live stream. You can click on that. You can book through it. Okay. Cool. I'm going to say that again at some point. I'm going to be saying that a lot. What are you eating these days? Well, I've been studying comfort food. I've been studying why people go to food for specific reasons. And I've been letting myself eat comforting foods during times of like distress, you know. And this is why I've been away for so long on YouTube. If you guys have been wondering, I've been doing a lot of emotional healing and studying my emotions and myself from the ground up. And I needed some space to do that and some time. And so part of that process was me eating comfort food. And what I've got in the oven right now is actually fries, but then they're oven baked. And I would put myself in a memory regression and eat old foods that I used to eat. Obviously, I've got limits. I'm not just going to start eating a whole bunch of dairy and meat and mess my system up. If there's a substitute for that, I will go to the substitute, you know, like sweet potato oven baked chips rather than fries, or mushrooms, like boiled mushrooms, instead of going back to eating meat constantly. And this isn't to say I've got anything against meat completely. I have my mindset around eating animals has shifted too. And ultimately, I did this because I wanted to heal my relationship with food. You know, whenever you're in a state where you're denying yourself food, or you're judging food, or you're judging yourself for eating something, that's causing a lot of resistance, not only in the mind, but in the physical body, your emotional body. And then when you eat the food, you have more of a negative impact on your system. It has more of a negative impact on your system. And so I started eating what I wanted to eat, and I let myself feel what was actually happening. And I was doing this for some months. And then as my understanding grew, as my relationship with food became looser and started to heal, I found myself eating less of the foods because simply it was making me feel sick over time. Only it was like a part of me had caught up to the fact that that I was feeling sick. And another way of looking at it is kind of like this. If you supplement your diet with the foods that you don't want to eat and you judge these foods, so every like month you eat something that you shouldn't be eating, and then you're kicking yourself, what ends up happening is you're not essentiating, you're not helping yourself out in any way, really. Not really. A very large part of you still wants to eat, and you're kind of limiting that expression. And because of that, that expression builds up in your emotional body, in your system, essentially, in your mind as well, mentally. You start fantasizing about foods. And so it's like you're dripping water out of a tap, but in that tank you're adding buckets of water, and the ratio is completely off. So because of that, you'll have the problem for a long period of time. But if you just let yourself eat as much as you want, if you break that tank and let yourself experience the food properly, consciously, and study it, you'll find a lot there. And once you're healed, you won't have the reason to eat the food that's making you sick. And then you can go back to eating healthy foods. You know? And this isn't to say to take a huge binge. I mean, you can, but you're going to make yourself sick. So know when to stop, essentially. What's bad about dairy? I'm vegetarian. Dairy clogs up the body system quite a bit, the way that it kind of becomes a different form inside the body. And every human being, dare I say, is somewhat allergic to dairy on a very subtle level sometimes, and sometimes on a massive level. I've not met one person who hasn't had a dairy problem, like who hasn't become very phlegmy by drinking dairy, like a mucus response or inflammation of the bowels or breakouts on the skin or rashes or foul odors coming from their skin. I haven't met one person who's been completely okay with dairy. Not one. That might change. Who knows? Maybe in the future, some strange human being will be born who can just eat as much as they want and not die. That sounded dark. And not, you go, come to Texas! Go to Gatorland? Is that in Florida? If I made any progress with my psychic abilities. Yeah. Yeah. That's your projection a lot. More so my empathic abilities. Yeah. Rest in peace. Oof, that's what happened to me. Do you believe in the zodiac and your sign? I do. I believe that astrology, this is what I believe. I believe that astrology will teach you. There's the spider. Astrology will tell you where you're at right now as of a result of your past. Okay, so as of a result of how you've reacted to your experience here on Earth, your zodiac sign will tell you exactly where you're at. You know, I don't subscribe to the belief that zodiacs are able to like tell you who you are as a consciousness. I really don't believe in that because that puts someone in a box. I believe zodiacs are simply there to describe to you where you're at in a specific stage of your development, and that can change. You can change. You can master your zodiac. Because for example, let's say a trauma happened within your life that the zodiac sign is telling you about. Maybe you're a Taurus or Pisces or something like that. And you didn't have that negative aspect of your zodiac sign as a kid. Something had to happen for you to start keeping secrets or for you to be withdrawn. Something had to happen. Okay? And so before you come to that point within your life, you're a clean slate. Astrology hasn't kicked in yet. Okay. And then you have that experience, which completely makes you abide by, personality wise, the negative aspects of your horoscope or your natal chart. Yeah. And so here's the thing: you can react to that trauma negatively and reap those bad aspects of your natal chart. Navel? Is that how I'm probably pronouncing it wrong? Or you can have those traumatic experiences and walk away from them scot-free. So you're mature enough to see what happened to you in a certain light, to the point where you don't end up becoming bitter, negative, or secretive, or anything like that. This is when you start exhibiting traits of different zodiac signs growing up. Usually, if someone is not aware of this stuff, they will end up going along with the stars, and it will be a pretty much exact dictation if someone is unconscious, or if someone's not aware of the fact that you can walk away from a trauma in a better state, for better or for worse. It's a choice, essentially. I've met some people who really believe that it's not a choice. There's something happened to them and now they're messed up and it's never going to change. That's a victim mentality, and that's not the truth. And so, yeah, I believe in astrology. I believe in what it stands for. But a lot of people kind of run with it as a kind of means for describing a person, and I'm not okay with that. What else we got? Such a legend. Thanks. What do you think of star seeds? I think most people are star seeds, if not everyone. It's very hard not to have reincarnated at one point in your eternal existence on another planet. It's very hard. Pasteurization is terrible. Yeah, as soon as people start pasteurizing things, a lot of the cultures, a lot of the bacteria in these things like cheeses and milks and goat's milk started to fail. And then they started adding other things to the probiotics at the time. Because there was a point in time where milk, properly culturized, was beneficial to an extent to the human body. But as soon as you started heating things, they started heating things and messed everything up. Now, the reason why they heat things is to kill off the bacteria in your smoothies, in your fruit juices, and in your milk. And as soon as you kill off the good bacteria, they're doing it for safety regulations. It completely starts to devalue the bacterial benefits of the culture, of the cheese, of the milk, And that's what your body needs, for one, to adjust to what you're drinking. It's like an ecosystem in there. Without the bacteria, your body's gonna have a hard time dealing with this foreign substance. It's like there's no military there anymore, So this things just come in, and there's no one there to tell you or to tell your system, hey, you're about to get invaded by this foreign substance. And so what the military that is in your body will freak out. It will be like, oh my God, what is this? And then a bunch of issues will start to happen. And on top of that, we all know that milk is for cows. I mean, come on, you can't really argue that. You've probably seen by now so many pictures of human beings sucking the teat of cows. A part of you just knows that that's wrong. I'm not here to debate it. It's just obvious at this point. And so when it comes to milk and cheeses, I can see how back in the day people would use it as a health supplement, and even though they might not have had what they needed to survive, and that was the only thing that they had, I could see how that would have been an acceptable choice to a village or to a town to drink milk and stuff like that. But we live in 2019 now. We don't have to do that anymore. We can start studying the body for what it is and start actually being in alignment to what it needs, rather than going completely out of the humanness of being human. We need to stop pretending. We need to stop pretending like to be a cow. It's kind of strange. What sign are you? I'm the Taurus. I'm a Taurus. Okay, I'm gonna say it one more time for those of you who just come in. I'm gonna be in Orlando, Florida. I'm gonna be taking ayahuasca at the Soul Quest retreat, and I'm gonna be there between the dates of the 28th to the 30th of June. and then the 5th to the 7th of July. All right. In between, I'm going to be doing my own thing in Florida with some friends. And so, yeah. Speaking of that, my stomach kind of hurts a little bit. Happy belated birthday. Thanks. Quickest way to raise your vibration? Okay. You ready for this? You run a bath. Have I lost you already? You run a bath. And then you chuck in the bath a bunch of grapefruits and oranges. Make it hot. Put in there some wintergreen oil, a couple of drops. Okay, 2 drops. Try not to go above that. And then a little bit of cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. Don't open your windows. Keep yourself in that bath. Go straight in there and submerge yourself like this. Okay. The frequency of the herbs and the plants and the fruits will shake out anything in you that's of a low frequency, and you should lose your mind. Like, you should start getting really irritated, mad, and angry, and that is the stuff that's holding you down to a low frequency, a low vibration. It's your emotions that hold you down to a low vibration. You know, for a massive part of your system, it's emotional. You will have a beautiful trip and many wonderful experiences. I hope so. It's been a while since I've taken ayahuasca. Do you know what you're passionate about raises your vibration? It does. It does. Creating space to do what you're passionate about is the best way to facilitate the rise in your vibration. You know you better than anyone else. Make sure that you're comfortable and you'll be great. I don't have a bath, only a shower. Man, that sucks. Because I've been trying showers instead of baths, and it is really not the same thing. Is there a lake or something you go by? I found that if you have a bucket of water and you just continuously pour that on yourself, that it can help raise your frequency. High vibration makes you more dense? I don't understand. Ryan wants me to come into the States? Yeah. Can you please save this life? Sure. Frequency, you want to be low vibration? You want to be? Are you just like saying the opposite of everything we're talking about? Can you feel people through the questions? I can. I kind of swore off of being on live for a while, but I think I'm ready. Oh, that's a good one. I mean, it's not, but I got something to say about that one. This is Ryan. I feel like nothing and nothing. Yeah. Ryan, I feel like nothing and nothing I do matters, as I'm going to die anyway. Okay, you're in an incredibly huge death urge. You don't have to die. Death is... I'm probably going to get a whole bunch of... Yes, you do. No, you really don't. Death is a choice. And if you're feeling like that, from experience, it could be because you have unresolved emotions that need to be sorted through and processed out. It's kind of like, I liken it to kids who are playing with their toys, and all of a sudden a child becomes depressed. Something's happened within their life, and that child no longer wants to play with their toy. They're trying, and it's not the same, and they just throw it to the side and go elsewhere. You know, that one toy used to give them so much joy. Life is the exact same thing. There are so many things that will happen to you that will sap away your urge for life, mainly because you're going to be focusing on how bad you feel for a very long period of time. And if you don't deal with your emotions, it's going to pile up. And it's like someone's draining the color out of your life. Things don't taste good anymore. Conversations aren't fun anymore. Being outside isn't fun anymore. It desensitizes you from life. And I just got done shooting well, not just now, but last week I shot a podcast with Daniel Harrison, and we talked about this in immortality. You know what? I'm gonna right now look for the link, and I'll put it in the description below too, so you guys can check it out. I'm also gonna put a part of it on my YouTube channel. It's 51 minutes long, and so in that we talk about how if you don't clear your emotions and you don't process how you're feeling, you can slip into a death urge. Like, what's the point in being here? You know, everything you eat is bad. Everything you do and think is bad, and you just don't want to be here. And so that's really not a good place to be in. And there's a way out of it. And the weird thing is when you get out of it, you not only become emotionally stable, but you live a very long time. The book that I've been reading, which is called The Death Urge, Breaking the Death Urge by Leonard Orr. That book, I'm gonna show you in a sec, literally talks about immortals that are living past the age of 9,000 years old. Yeah. And how things back up the system emotionally. Your emotions back up your life, literally, and stop the flow of prana flowing through your system. And so this is the book, and it's really good. I suggest getting into it. It's very simple. Okay. It's right here. Book recommendation, not a paid sponsor. If you want to, I mean, what do you got to lose? I mean, you play with your emotions, you feel better. That's not a bad thing at the end of the day. And you might end up increasing your lifespan. And if you're depressed and you got nothing to lose anyway, why not give it a shot? You know, you feel better. You feel better. Adrian. Ooh, man, now I want to go to New York. I think I ran up those stairs already. I think I'm going to do it again. Let's look for the link. And it'll be my YouTube. It was a good conversation that we had. And I was just looking at my presents. Oh, look. I just saw myself. I'm coming to America. Did I spell it right? Please say I spelled that right. I'm not going to hear that, the end of that, if I didn't. All right. There it is. You guys ready? You just copy the link, copy link address, and I'll put it in the description of this live stream. Can I do that right now? Can I do that right now? Crap, I can't. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. I'll get back to it. After this live stream, just go there and it'll be there. I'll put it back in there. Okay. What is Nen? Daily routine? What's your morning and night routine? My morning routine is I wake up and I meditate. And my meditation is I lay there and I feel my emotions. Now, I have to feel my emotions because I've noticed a very clear distinction between being inauthentic and being authentic. If you do not express your emotions, you move very, very far away from who you are as an individual, as a soul, as a pure innocent person, very far away. Because the way that people shut their emotions down is through personality constructs. So they'll act a certain way, which is not how they usually act in order to stuff their emotions down. You probably see this when people grow up. They become kind of rebellious, and they start brooding to stuff everything down, and they start punching things. There are many versions of this. Cracking jokes is one of them, to avoid how you're feeling. And all of these ways that we use to kind of express that we're dealing with our emotions are other personalities that are not indicative of our originality. They are not us. And so when you allow yourself to feel how you're feeling and you lay in your bed, you end up unwinding those influences and coming back to yourself and actually feeling how you're feeling. And at the end of the day, if you were upset in the past, it was for a good reason. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with feeling upset or feeling like you're going to cry or feeling pain or sorrow or loss. Nothing wrong with it at all. People will say there's something wrong with it. The same people that have issues with feeling their own feelings. Don't listen to them. In this book, it talks about using the elements. And it doesn't tell you too much about the elements, which is great. It kind of leaves it up for you to figure out. And what I figured out is that the elements will not judge you for being upset. You can cry in front of a fire and you'll feel like you're being comforted no matter what you're crying about. The elements allow you to be yourself without judgment, to completely open up. It took me years to start crying. I thought ayahuasca would do it. It didn't. This did. Years of peeling back conditioning and suppressive constructs of my mind, which were preventing me from coming to myself. Yeah. And so if you want to be you, like if you want to remember what it feels like to be you, you kind of need to be you fully. And what that looks like is someone who's very comfortable with expressing themselves, which is so hard to do. So hard to do. We got a donation. 1111. I see what you did there. Keep shining your light. Thanks. I'm going to go check on those chips because I don't want to burn my house down. I'll be back. You're going to see me in my pajamas. Not quite finished yet. Transcending throughout the space. You guys gonna come to America? What did I say with that accent? Are you gonna come? $10 donation. Thanks. How do you train your empathic telepathy? You're gonna need to get very familiar with what's going on in here. When you can get familiar with what's going on in your body, you'll notice when you get breached. And empathic awareness is a very long journey. It's as deep as you are. Because the more you go into yourself, the more you'll start to discover. The more you'll notice when you get these intrusive energies. Then you got to deal with that. And then it becomes you learning how to recognize that within another person because you've seen it so many times within yourself. Layers. You'll be able to see layers within people at that point. You just know. And yeah, so that's basically how you would look at it, like that. And so when it comes to a specific way of doing it, this is the thing I used to play with my friend Max, where we would stand by a road and we'd watch the cars coming. And sometimes we'll be on top of a building like Batman. And when the cars came, I'd say to him, try to kind of have a feel for how many people were in the car. And he would try to feel that out and he'd be like, 2. And we would wait for it to come. And as it comes, I'd say to my friend Max, do you notice how that feeling that you were using to kind of guess intuitively, do you notice how that's growing as the car is getting closer? And if he says yes, he's on the money. If he's saying no, he was probably using the wrong feeling. And so what we found out was over time was as that car got closer, the feeling in his system would grow and it would become more and more accurate to his kind of guesswork that we were doing. And then we went from being like, okay, how many people were in the car to let's try and figure out the gender. What person is driving that car? How old are they? And then we would wait and see them come by. That was very good. Ooh, that is high vibration. This is Manuka, pure essential oil. Good vibration. Man, it's been 34 minutes already. 150 people are watching, 40 likes. So thank you very much for the support. Okay, so I'm going to say what I said before. For those of you who are new, I'm going to be in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be at a ayahuasca retreat in Orlando called Soul Quest. I've left the link in the description below. I'm going to be there between the dates of the 28th of June to the 30th of June. And then I'll be there from the 5th of July to the 7th of July. I'll say that again, the 28th to the 30th of June, then the 5th to the 7th of July. It kind of smells like oranges. Oh, I'm gonna put this in my bath. How much have I got left? I actually got this from the States. I was in Seattle. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Is that another donation? No, same one. Thanks, Kenyan. Kenyan? Cool name. Ken. Like Street Fighter. Man, there's a lot of questions here. Let's keep going. Much love, Ryan. Thanks. Home girl is on a teacher budget. Can someone heal my toothache? Oil pull. First, do a salt water flush. Well, not salt water flush. That's something completely different. First, put salt water in your mouth, like rinse it out for about 15 minutes. Spit it has to be warm salt water. Okay, warm salt water, not processed. Do sea salt. Spit that out. Make sure to brush and floss before you do this, so that the salt water is able to get into the gums and everything. That will just help to sterilize your mouth. Then what you do is you do an oil pull. Now, I prefer to use cold pressed, organic, extra virgin olive oil, okay, unpasteurized. And I'll put that in my mouth. Maybe I'll suck on it twice. Like maybe that's equivalent of 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then you swish that through your teeth for about 20 minutes. Do other things in your house, And then what you do is you spit it out. Do not swallow. That oil will pull out anything in your mouth that shouldn't be there, from really toxic toxins that are airborne to viruses and stuff like that. And then you should be fine. Another thing that helps with toothaches is when you make the tooth bleed. Sounds weird, but it's basically bloodletting. Whenever I had a toothache, I would floss, and I'd floss just a little bit too much, and then it will bleed. Or I would use a electric flosser and just put that on high blast and blast the tooth. And then it would cause bleeding, and that will get rid of the inflammation along with whatever's lodged in there. Because usually my toothaches within the past have come about because I've had bits of food stuck in the gum, which has then caused a bacterial infection or some type of inflammatory response. I sound like a doctor now. Dr. Ryan. Dr. Ryan. Technically, I'm a doctor in some countries because I'm a psychologist. Yeah. I could be classified as a doctor of the mind. I had a dream I pulled a coin out of thin air. It's like magic. Ryan, how do you ascend to a higher plane of existence? I haven't really figured that out yet. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I'll be gone. Are you enjoying America? I'm in the UK right now. I have been enjoying America because I've been there quite a few times. I love it. Someone says, or go to the dentist. They'll do it for you too. They'll probably do things like, usually if you go to a dentistry, they'll blast your teeth with a cleaning thing to just clean out, and they'll clean it professionally, so you're okay, and give you some they give you some antibiotics. They give you some medicine. But there's a cost there. You're looking at about, in the UK at least, maybe £80 for cleaning that you can do by yourself at home. So you can go to the dentist, but it's lazy, and you're going to be spending a lot of money. Eek! Doctor Strange. I always say it like that. Doctor Strange. Ryan MD. Thoughts on urine therapy? The only thing I'm going to talk about here when it comes to urine therapy is the Philosopher's Stone. Immortality. That's what I'm given. Look it up. Okay? Look it up. Just look in urine therapy, Fountain of Youth, or YouTube, urine therapy, taking the piss. I think that's what it's called. Oh, such a low vibration. Do a bunch of research, then get back to me. Ever consider living in America? Yeah, quite a few times. Yeah, still on the table. America is not the same, says Treelin. Yeah. Ryan, I briefly AP a couple of days ago. Awesome! Did you get the AP course? So many people have gone back to me about that. I've literally just ushered in about 800 new astral projectionists. California sucks. Oh man. Harry Potter and the PP Stone. And I live here. Do you know anything about the Kabbalah? I think so. I know some stuff about the Kabbalah and the Kabbalah. I've known that if you change the spelling a little bit, like the story's different. So I'm gonna go with the no, because how you've played there is a little different from how I'm used to seeing it. Or today is Tuesday. I think I'm gonna watch What We Do in the Shadows while I'm eating my chips. What else we got? Kabbalah is Jewish for people. Man, these questions are growing so fast. How tall am I? I am 6'1". Mushrooms? You mean like psychedelic mushrooms or edible mushrooms? Like casual eating mushrooms? You know, we might end up setting up another psilocybin retreat in Amsterdam. I'll keep you guys posted on that. And you know, a lot of you guys enjoyed it the last time you came. Yeah, back in a sec. I'm so excited. What am I gonna do today? Life is easy. Life is good. You're literally supported by life. I can't stress that enough. Think about it. We live on a blue planet, which is perfect for life because there's just the right amount of wind. There's just the right amount of warmth, just the right amount of water, just the right of mineral density, food, matter, earth, 4 elements. Now, if you try not to over-glorify the elements and just step outside, you'll realize that comfort doesn't have to come from people because the earth comforts the organisms on its surface through the elements. And without comfort, plants die, animals die, people die. Elements are comforting, literally. And in my mind, the majority of my adult life, I thought that comfort had to come from people. This isn't to say that people are irrelevant. It's just to say that comfort comes in all different shapes and sizes, and it helps heal us in many different ways. And when you start detaching from nature, you lose the most vital, comforting source of this earth to the point where you start slipping into some problems, mental problems, emotional problems, and health problems. And so look at a tree. Look how thick a tree is. Look how fast it grows. Look at animals. Look at birds and how happy they are. Look at insects and how easily they just live their life. They're in tune with the elements and they're pretty happy because of it. We've become an indoor generation and it's making us sick. And so it's just a little bit of info there. You know, just go out in the rain and just really think about that. Think about how comforting or what is the rain doing to you. Try not to overthink it. Look at it like a discovery, like you're rediscovering the elements for the first time. Get into a hot bath. What is the warmth signaling to your body? Sit in front of an open fire. What is the fire signaling to your emotions, to the emotional aspect of you? What is it telling you? What is it trying to bring out in you? Look at the moon at night, full moon. How does it make you feel emotionally? With me, I get sad. Like it will bring up any sadness in me for me to work through. Look at the sun, first hour and the last hour. Don't over glorify it. Don't over spiritualize it. You're rediscovering the elements. Look at the sun. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel more awake? Does it make you feel like there's no problems at all? Really? Does it prep you up? Heck, just open your curtains in the morning and just sit there. Don't necessarily look at the sun. Just notice the difference, the shift in your mood as soon as the rays come through into your room. Rediscover intimacy with the elements. And into me, I see, just look into yourself and how you're feeling with the elements. Don't glorify it, because when you glorify things, you put things into a box and they'll limit your ability to see. It kind of closes your scope of perception. You need to be open to seeing it for what it is. And then you'll realize that there is no such thing as a problem. You'll realize that every problem that's happened in your life has come about because of your mind. You're thinking yourself into an erotic and a sporadic state. And that there are no problems at all. And you have enough time to do whatever you want, and you're fully supported by everything. And then you'll start to look back into your life and realize how this has been the case. And not only that, but things will start making sense to you. Your mind will start making sense, and then you'll stop feeling crazy. You see, craziness is confusion. Confusion is when we see things within our reality that just doesn't make sense. So we become confused. Like, why is someone acting this way? This is confusing me. Why do I have to pay for food? This is confusing me. Why does my dad constantly make me feel like he's in control over whether or not I come and go into his household? Says, I'm putting a roof over your head. Like, what's going on here? This doesn't feel natural. Over time, we get confused by these disharmonious imbalances of life that we're perceiving and we're hearing from people who have gotten the wrong idea about how to live harmoniously with life. And so over time, we become very confused and very conflicted with what we should do, how we should live. Well, thanks for the donation, $2. Thanks. What ends up happening as a result is we become chaotic internally, and that then is expressed through physical violence and bad language. The more calm you get because you've made sense out of your mind and what used to trouble you within your past, the more the chaotic mind can relax. And the more, because essentially you're making sense out of something that used to confuse you, and the tension gets released. If something's confusing, it's like this. You get like a knot in your emotional body. And so you work your way through simply by changing your environment. Get out of the confusing environment and get into a harmonious environment. Study the elements, how it's affecting you, and make sense out of little things that confused you. And then what will happen is your level of anxiety and stress will come way down. Okay, way down. What else we got? Ryan, is this pole shift real? It is real. But don't worry about global warming at all. I'm under the belief that it doesn't exist. Because physics. Not what they're saying, but how I know physics to be. Like, if anyone just studies physics naturally, unless water is being ripped out of the atmosphere by a black hole, anything that dissolves will be recycled and come back to Earth. Like, it won't get outside of the planet unless something's pulling it outside. So we don't actually lose anything. Things melt, but things freeze. It's just a shifting of certain things, you know? Thank you, Ryan, for just being here and helping us. You're welcome. Do I know how to get rid of hay fever? I thought I did. I got rid of it for a while, but then I started doing memory regressions, and I think my body just remembered how to react to pollen. So this year has been pretty tough. Boom, 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 boom. You're having a pole shift now. Slow at first. What happens when you AP into the sun? I'm not sure yet. I haven't done that. Why can't I get Kundalini activated? It depends on what you're doing to try. It depends on your outlook on Kundalini. Like, what do you think Kundalini is? Because based on what you think it is, will determine on your approach. It will determine on what you're focusing on. You might be focusing on the wrong thing if you have the wrong idea as to what Kundalini should feel like or what it is. Which is tough. It's not easy to figure out. I'll be back. Going to check again. Check my hourglass. It's black sand. Makes me that gives me anxiety. Let's just change that, huh? Just take the sand out. A limited time. Or just stuff it with sand. Ryan, check your chart for Kundalini. I had my Kundalini rise about 4 years ago, and I recently studied my Vedic chart and found it in there. Huh. Oh, so you're finding the actual things in your chart. I'm gonna look that up. Thanks. Thanks for the donation. Correct. YT Gaming. Thanks, appreciate it. Oh, what did I want to say? My last video. Do you guys watch it? It's on breathing exercises. Are zodiac signs a real thing that affect us in life? What are you? I'm a Taurus. If you'd like, you can check back at the live stream. I'm going to save it on YouTube so you can look back on it. Oh, I just forgot to monetize this. Dang it. This always happens to me. 1 second. I get like after this, just like 9 days. It's like, Ryan, people have watched 9 days of your video within the past hour, and I didn't monetize it, so I didn't get paid by YouTube. And it's like, uh-oh. Come on, where are you? If I can't, I can't. If I can, I can. Private? What? This isn't on private. There we go. Now it's on. Save. Oh, I can change the things here too. There we go, it's on public. Okay, guys, I'm gonna edit the title and description of this live video. Right now, you've got where I'm gonna be at in Orlando, Florida, the ayahuasca retreat called Soul Quest. I'm gonna be there from the 28th to the 30th of June, and then from the 5th to the 7th of July. I'm also gonna post in there a link to Daniel Harrison's YouTube channel. And on there is a podcast that we did about astral projection and the nature of reality. Yourself at the end of it. Okay, so you guys can check that out. I'm also going to put a link to his YouTube channel. Yourself at the end of the day. I kind of like a fairy. And Daniel Harrison, I love his intro. His YouTube channel is Ascended Podcast. Okay. Ascended Podcast. I'm going to do that right now. Ascended Podcast. What should I call it? Ascended Podcast. And this is the whole podcast. It's 51 minutes long. He actually came over like a couple of weeks before then, and we were recording for like 2 to 3 hours, and none of it worked. It got messed up because we started going into some weird things, and then the equipment started acting really funny. Ascended Podcast with Daniel. Let's say spell his last name. 2 R's, yeah. All right, so you guys can check that out. Save. Cool. Go. What do we got? What else we got? Oh, because I'm going to be in Florida, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Ryan_J for James _Cropper. Okay, CROPPER, because whenever I go to another country, I go Instagram nuts. So I'm going to be live for the most part. Will I be live for the most part? I can't really say that right now, but expect a live stream at some point. Okay. Another donation. Thanks. It's $10 from Ben. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the... Dang it, I don't even know how to say that. I'm going to Google it in a second. It's a technique in which you rewrite your past by visualizing what you wanted to happen instead of what actually happened. Okay, that actual thing, I don't fully agree with that. That might have some benefits, but I do this thing where I look at other people's techniques and I just try to see it from where they might be trying to explain it. And I honestly think that someone someone misunderstood this technique, because I've been doing this, but I've been doing it in a way that made sense, in a way that makes sense. For example, if you change your perception on your past, it changes how you feel toward your past. And so if you're living out of trauma, then what ends up happening is, because you now see that trauma differently, you're no longer living out of trauma. So your behavior changes. And because your behavior changes, you manifest different things. So it's not like you're letting go of the past. You're seeing it for what it is, and it's having a healing effect on your psyche. Okay. And in a way, if you change the memory, it can help too. But in my experience, I've only been able to use that for apologies, like forgiving people. For example, a lot of the time you want people to say sorry, but they're not able to say sorry where they're at. And you just need those magic words to soothe your soul. So what I used to do was I used to sit there and I used to imagine a person saying sorry the way that I wanted to hear it. And I can imagine it in the past. I can press pause and change the memory. Not because I want to change or get rid of the past, like I'm in resistance to what happened, but because I just want to kind of be in it, be in that vibe and kind of build on that. Like, what if this had happened, and then have that person apologize. And it just helps me hear what I want to hear, because by hearing what I want to hear, I become very self-aware of what I think I need on myself in that entire situation, on what I'm expecting from that person, whether it's realistic or unrealistic, on how I can help facilitate that person into reaching that place if need be. It just helps me see things from a very different perspective when I use memories to bring up the past. And then in that energy, which is one of the reasons why I sit in the past, is to bring out the energy, it's to bring out the dysfunction, it's to bring out the confusion. I then choose to just take it into another direction intellectually, you know? But to sit there and to imagine the past as a completely different experience and to expect that to heal everything, you can't really fool yourself like that. It doesn't really work. I mean, I have something. Let me try. Let me try something right now. I'll try that exactly. See what happens. Let's look for something that I'm not okay with. Okay. So my lunchbox in school kind of leaked, and it made my my sandwiches very mushy. Let's imagine that never happening. Okay, so what just happened was I tried to change the memory. It just took me to a memory where the sandwiches in school in my lunchbox didn't get squished, peanut butter and jelly, and I felt better. Now I'm experiencing this weird feeling where my emotions are like, see, it's never always that bad, because you've had good days where you've eaten those sandwiches and you haven't had everything get messed up in your lunchbox. And so now I'm being put at ease, you see? And so changing the memory just then, I had no control over actually changing it. I tried to set the intention to reconstruct the memory out of my imagination, and the only thing that happened was that my mind decided to throw another memory in its place, you know? And so if you can actually change a memory, do this, study this, and get back to me. Change a memory, reconstruct it, and tell me how your mind is responding to it. Because there's something here, which is what's made this technique so popular. I just have yet to stumble across it. It's almost been an hour. And that was like squeezing blood from a rock. And wow, you got 39K views from that? Who did he interview? Oh, he interviewed David. Is that David Icke? Yeah, David Icke. It's got David Icke on there. It's got me on there. Feeling pretty good. Feeling like a superstar.
There was only, as a kid, there was only the BBC, not even BBC Two, BBC. That's all there was. But now you've got all these channels and all these mainstream outlets. How many times do you see a program looking into the nature of reality? Never. I mean,
maybe I should go find David. Hey, David. We got a donation. What do you think about 5G? Is it dangerous? I do think it's dangerous. I do think it will scramble your DNA because it's a vibrational frequency that permeates matter. It's not good, but I'm protected. I'm going to build a hat that has EMF protecting material inside the hat to protect my brain. Not a tinfoil hat. It will look like the ones I usually wear for YouTube. Back in a sec. Kind of like this hat. Okay, it's coming to closing time now. Oh, and thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. What else should I say before I leave? Before I make like a tree, like a leaf, and leave. Copper kills bacteria. Colloidal silver does a very good job at killing bacteria. Just make sure it's not in its metallic state, otherwise it's going to make you sick. I mean, not unless you get metallic state, a colloidal state of copper, or a colloidal state of silver. That holy that's $50. Thanks. Not unless you get a I could just go get my chips, season them, and come back. I'm okay with that too. I was gonna like hang up and eat, but I'm okay with eating on live stream. Not unless you can get a colloidal. A colloidal is basically a substance, okay, a colloidal is a physical object that has been broken down to such a refined state that it's freestanding in a solution of water. So when you make tea and the tea is like brown, there are actually tiny colloidal particles of the herbs that are freestanding, which make the whole body of water look a specific color. If you let tea sit for a very, very, very long time, I'm not sure how long, I've never actually tried this, give it maybe 6 months to a year, it might end up becoming clear on the top to an extent because those colloidals have had time to sit down and kind of precipitate on the bottom. And so when it comes to making colloidals, you want to make sure that it's so small that if you do put some type of metallic substance into your body, it can get flushed back out. A lot of people add sea salt to their experiments. Sea salt increases the electrical conductivity within the kind of apparatus, which tears apart. You're using electrolysis to tear apart the atoms of, or to tear apart the molecules of these metals, essentially. If you check out my RMS video, I record myself doing this with copper. If you put salt in there, it will increase the electrical charge, which will then pull apart the molecules even faster. Problem is the molecules become too big, and then it gets stuck inside the cells if you start drinking these metallic substances, and then you'll turn blue like a Smurf. And there's a family that do that. Look up blue bloods. A lot of people in the old days, they used to be rich and they would try to extend their lifespan because they could afford silver. They would start breaking down silver and drinking silver, but they didn't refine the process. And because of that, they became blue people, blue families. They lived long and they got rid of arthritis and stuff like that, but they also had blue skin. It's funny that you mentioned apologies. A YouTuber named Joseph LA used the revision technique to rewrite the falling out he had with another person. After he used it, the next time they talked, it was as if they had never argued. Okay, cool. So here's the thing, the misunderstanding. People think it's as if they've never argued, as if the past have been rewritten. That is not true. Okay, there's a couple of other things that are happening there. When you forgive someone, your personality changes. How you conduct a conversation with that individual changes. And empathically, a person can feel that you've let go of something. And so it's going to feel like that conversation never happened, but it definitely did happen. Okay. The past didn't change and rewrite reality. You've just matured to a point where you're no longer feeling like you're holding on to something. They call it harboring. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for mentioning that. That's I really wanted to bring that to the attention of people, you know. And you see, in those moments when people think that that is what's happened, like the past has changed and it never happened, I really do want them to ask the person, "Hey, do you remember that day when I said that or did this?" Just to see if the past had changed, because a lot of the time it feels like it's coming from a place of assumption, which is where these problems come up. Is that how Osiris turned blue? Hmm, not sure. Maybe. I've seen that. Keep thinking, love. Does astral projection require a certain sleeping stance and consistent sleep schedule? Consistent sleep schedule, yes. Sleeping stance, no. Is cannabis good for you? In small doses, it can be an aid to facilitate enlightenment and your sensitivity to energies, including your chakra system. In large quantities, it is not. I'm an advocate of smoking pure cannabis, not for extended long periods of time. There's abuse, and then there's spiritual use. Abuse is very easy to tell, when someone's abusing. It's like an escapism, stuff like that. You don't really need to put much thought into noticing when someone's abusing cannabis. But if you're using it for a spiritual aid, and I use that with a grain of salt, really know yourself, okay? Don't be like, I'm going to use it for a spiritual aid, and you've been feeling down the entire day. You're not really, you're kidding yourself at that point. Really be honest with yourself, because you don't want to use cannabis and have it turn off your third eye, ruin your dreams, and mess up your energy system. So you got to make sure it works. Oh, I swear someone was just like literally right there looking down at me. Creepy. Favorite characters in Naruto? Ooh. Okay. Jiraiya, Kakashi. Uh, Hinata, and Reggie. Is that his name? Reggie? They're my favorite. And that guy, not the woman, not the alien woman who has that tree, the chakra tree. I think her descendant. It's a guy. Madara, Hadra. Naruto and Sasuke see him in that realm when they're fighting that woman, the alien. I've probably just ruined it for a whole lot of you. But basically, spoiler alert. Plug your ears if you're gonna watch Naruto. It's about chakras and energy. They have to go to another dimension in order to get a sign, a seal on their hand, which gives them abilities, and they get it from this entity. He's my favorite too. Yeah. Whew. Ryan, you beautiful mofo. What's your thoughts on cell division, death, the afterlife? Do you believe individuality, or that you? Okay, Kaguya? Yeah, that one. And the Sage of the Six Paths. That's the guy. He's my favorite too. Grandpa Sage, dude. Ryan, same thing. What's your thoughts on cell division? My thoughts on cell division is that if you can create a perfect harmonious state within your system and support cell division, you can become immortal. I think that your thoughts directly impact the quality of cells that are created after a cell divides, and that if you can control your energy state, not by forcing it to be a certain way, but to live in more in a harmonious state with your thoughts and your emotions and your physical body, then cellular division will be a clear route to immortality. And death, I don't believe is real. I think it's a choice. And I think that if you can take care of your body, there's no reason for it to die. You know? Do you believe individuality or that you are the all that is? I believe that we are all a part of everything, but I strongly believe that if you're not actually experiencing that right now, then you should just stick with who you are to avoid any confusion or any problems, you know? Um, or that you are the all that is. I'm afraid that once I pass through again, I will. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You might be alone. Yeah, don't worry about it. There are aspects of source consciousness that's already okay with being alone and that has already transitioned to a maturer state of itself. Not all aspects of source consciousness is like that, you know, but there is a large part that is getting it. And so if you go there, you might end up maturing yourself as a source consciousness aspect to a point where you're okay with being alone and realizing that you're not actually alone, that you keep yourself company, and that this dream is reality because you're real. So the dream is real. So this is fun. And then you experience it with other people, other aspects of yourself. And it becomes you basically taking care of yourself inside your own head, which is weird. That probably didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. Probably made a lot of sense to a lot of people. But it shouldn't make sense to those who don't need to get it. It's an ayahuasca thing. Chica chica. All right, so yeah, let's just go through this real quick. Then I gotta shoot. Hago. Oh man, a lot of you guys watch Naruto. Cool. Real life Rasengan. Yes, it exists. Check out Corey Good's interviews on Gaia. He talks with I think David Wilcock, where he talks about monks and energy sensitive people who are able to manipulate their energy and create balls of energy that shoot out of their hand to the extent by which they were actually able to dent tin cans with their chi. That's Rasengan, if I've ever seen it in real life or heard of it in real life. Someone was creeping on you in astral form. That was like a shadow being. Boop. Don't go to the soul harvesting system when you die. It's pretty easy when you get there. If you do end up in some kind of harvesting thing, it's pretty easy to tell that something's off. Just use your intuition if you ever end up there and just leave. All right, so I'm gonna say this one last time before I close down. I'm gonna be in Orlando, Florida, visiting Soul Quest, taking ayahuasca between the dates of the 28th to the 30th of June. That's this month, and then the 5th to the 7th of July. Thank you all for sitting in to this live chat. And I hope you guys enjoy my content from now in the foreseeable future. And thank you for being a subscriber. I really love you all and appreciate everything that you do for me. Watching my channels helps me out a lot. Watching my YouTube videos, donating helps me out a lot. This is basically like, I mean, essentially, YouTube is funding my ability to do YouTube. You're funding my ability to give you advice, which is like brilliant. And so, yeah, I mean, literally, YouTube pays for my rent. It pays for my rent. And everything else that I make through my website, selling courses and coaching, that I put into electricity and food and equipment and more spiritual experiences to give you guys more advice. So it's like one big circle that goes kind of folds into itself, you know, like a kaleidoscope. So enjoy the rest of you guys' days and take care. Peace.